Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's show. Tonight, the Daytripper Photo Show is talking about the real cost of being a professional photographer. It's not cheap, not at all, and there's a lot of things that we need to get pretty much all the time just to keep ourselves in business, and it kind of sucks, but that's what the cost of business is. So tonight's show is to get into that and find out what are these costs, why do we need them, what cheaper alternatives might there be, and of course, whenever we do a show, we try and bring in an authority on a subject. So this week, we have, of course, Gabriel Bousquet will show up in a few minutes. He was just driving home from dinner. He'll be here in a few seconds. And Navy Nhum, right here with us as well. Navy, hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Now.
What?
You're present.
You are present. Good. Well, we're going to talk more with Navy in just a sec, but to get to our special guest, we have Phil Zerato. Phil, good day, sir.
Hi there.
Hello, hello. Phil, this is the first time you've been on our show, isn't it?
That it is.
Which is weird because I've known you forever. And I don't know, for those of you who don't know, Phil was one of the original instructors for Daytripper Photo. He was on many of our sessions way back in the day. An amazing instructor in his own right. Teaches with Henry's School of Imaging, which is now known as the Learning Lab. But the reason we have Phil here today is because you're a financial advisor. You've left the realm of photography in a certain regard, and you are now a financial advisor. So what does a financial advisor have to say about the daily costs of being a professional photographer? Because you know both sides.
That I do. And there's actually a lot of similarities between kind of what I do and what you see out of a professional photographer, as far as needing the insurances, needing to go out and find clients, as well as having costs associated with memberships. Well, in my case, memberships. In your case, things like Creative Cloud, as well as any photo groups that you may be part of.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to get a lot more into it, but I just want to say hello, Phil. Thank you so much for being on the show tonight. And it's just good hanging out with you again. We used to hang out a lot. So. Hey, no problem. Okay, so while we're still waiting for Gabriel to show up, I'm just going to go over some of the things we have in our notes to start the conversation. First of all, I just want to wish my mother a happy birthday. It's her birthday today. She's turning something, and she's still doing well. She's down in Florida. Once in a while, she'll say hello and pop in like she's watching the show, which is always cool. My mom loves photography. She asked me a while back if she could be Weiss Photography South. I said no. But
good name, though.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. So anyway, happy birthday, Mom. Happy birthday. Also, I'm stoked because this is the first time in a few weeks that we're going to have our full crew on the show, Navi, myself, and Gabriel, as soon as Gabe shows up, which is great. And I love hanging out with these guys so much. But Navi and Phil got to hang out recently on a fun shoot. So, Navi, tell us about this really cool shoot that you guys did.
Well, I'm just going to begin my description with this image of funnery.
Funnery and shenanigans.
It was great. So Martin, along with his friend Terry, organized this photo shoot with these old school planes up in, where was it again, Phil? I always forget.
It was not Gravenhurst, Bracebridge.
Bracebridge. I keep wanting to say Cambridge. With two models and that kind of stuff. They were playing with lighting, getting some cool shots. So I took a break. Well, Phil and I took a break and decided we would jump instead because that's what you do on a really, really hot and humid day out in the sun.
That's what you do.
Yes.
Well, there is some significance to this airplane. Like, what's the story behind that airplane?
Well, okay, maybe Phil can clarify. Is this the plane from the movie North by Northwest, or is it similar to the plane that was in the movie?
It is the exact plane.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. It makes it that much cooler.
Yeah.
So that was the plane from the movie North by Northwest that had what, Cary Grant in it?
Yes. And so that puts the airplane at somewhere in the realm of, I think, 75 to 85 years old.
That's awesome.
In mint condition.
Very nice condition, yes.
In mint condition?
Yes.
Mint condition.
Nice.
Sorry, Joseph moment. Joseph Leduc says hello. Hello, Joe. Joe was actually there with you guys too, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
Joe's awesome.
Whenever he got some good shots.
Well, I'm sure he did. He actually made a compilation, a composite with that airplane and a bunch of other planes and things. Yeah, it was really cool.
I did not see these. I must look at them later.
Mm-hmm.
Look at them. Check them out. But before we get into anything else, welcome, Gabriel.
Welcome.
Welcome. No, I'm saying welcome to you.
Oh, welcome to me.
Gabe, do you know Phil?
I think we met before, yeah.
I think so, once or twice.
Sure.
Anyway, Phil, Gabe, Phil. So, Gabriel, how have you been, man? You have a good week? That was a brilliant question.
I had a character building week. That's what I had. It was a good week. All's well that ends well. It's just sometimes I wish I could get there with a little bit less drama.
Well, this drama you're talking about had a lot to do with the reason that we're doing the show, doesn't it? The costs of being a professional photographer.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
So, do you want to quickly go over roughly, some of the situation that you had, or do you want to save that for later in the show?
No, not at all.
No, not.
No. I'm not going to talk about that one little bit.
Okay.
I'll tell you all about Vegas, but I'm not going over that.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, before we get any further, I just want to remind the viewers, because we do have some viewers that have tuned in now. If you want to be a part of tonight's show, if you want to give us your opinions and give us the things that you might bring up that you've had experiences with, please go right ahead and use the Q&A app of this Hangout. If you don't know where that is, if you hover your mouse over the Hangout window, along the left side, you're going to see a little icon that says Q&A. Click on that. Along the right side, the box will open up. You can type whatever you want to say, and we will see it right away. And if we want to answer it, then we will. And if we don't want to answer it, we probably still will. I don't know why we wouldn't want to. So anyway, go ahead and type what you want to say. Say hello, say goodbye, say anything you want to say. And we're going to roll it right into the show. And before we get into... Oh, wait, hi, Andrew. Hi from the Rock in Georgina. Oh, cool. Andrew's at the Rock. That's not far from where you live, is it, Gabriel?
The Rock? No, that's not far at all.
Not far at all. All right, well, Andrew, thank you for watching. And to everybody else who's watching, thank you so much. We're going to have a great time tonight. Photography is a pretty crazy thing. The original show idea that I was thinking about was the power of photography and what a photo can do for the world at large. There's been a big hubbub, I guess you could say, lately with our old friend Bill Cosby. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about this. Now, this is not going to get into a political conversation or any kind of opinions about Bill. I don't know. It is what it is. The bottom line is there's a photo in New York Magazine, which kind of... What's that?
There's a thing I saw today. You know that guy that shot the lion?
Yes. Oh my God.
I heard some guy today said he's the most hated person in America who didn't sell Jell-O when they were younger.
Well, he deserves it too. There's been some pretty bad stuff. That's for another show for another time. So we're not going to worry too much about that guy. That was awful. Anyway, the point I want to get across is this photo, and I'm going to do a screen share here, really brings home the reality of the Bill Cosby situation. A lot of us, that's my era. I used to watch The Cosby Show. I used to think of Cosby as the perfect father, like the father we all want to have. He was a cool dad. He was able to curb his kids and, control all their craziness. And yeah, I was on TV, but whatever. This is what we were raised with.
He came up with a line that I use on almost a daily basis with Jaden. I brought you into this world. I can take you out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what kills me, too, is the debates and the battles that he used to have with Eddie Murphy way back in the day. He used to get so angry at Eddie for being vulgar and swearing and this and that, and Eddie would get mad at him for passing judgment. Well, these photos that you see on the screen here are the women, 35 of the women who have accused Bill Cosby of sexual misconduct and other things, and seeing them in a single photo shows the power of photography, and that one empty chair at the very bottom symbolizes quite a bit of stuff. One of the things it symbolizes is the people who couldn't show up because either their statute of limitations has run out, so that there's really no point in them saying anything, or they just couldn't make the photo shoot or whatever. But there's a lot.
Or they haven't come out yet.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, or they haven't come out yet. But it's a very powerful image that brings all of these things to mind. So this is just a reminder of how powerful photography can be. It doesn't have a lot to do with our conversation today, other than the fact that it's relevant and it's happening now. And this is the cover of New York Magazine, which, you know, it's well known for their photography. So
I still think their title should have been my favorite. Not that this is a joking matter, but my favorite joke that goes along with this story. On Time Magazine, it should have just been, it's just a case of he said versus she said, 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 she said.
35 times, yeah. Well, the actual story is, I'm no longer afraid. 35 women tell their stories about being assaulted by Bill Cosby and the culture that wouldn't listen. And a lot of people wouldn't listen until now we see this photo. And that's what I mean by how impactful a photo can be. There have been a lot of photos throughout our history that you look at it and it either changes how we perceive things, it changes the politics of things, or whatever. So if you guys out there watching have a photo like that you remember that was very poignant and that just really, you know, brought home a certain era or feeling of an event to you, go ahead and share it through the Daytripper community and tell us what you're thinking about that. And that could be interesting conversation as well. So not really part of our show tonight other than the fact that it's relevant, and we're just going to move past that for now. By the way, if you're watching the show and it isn't your first time and you enjoy it, because, you know, sometimes I watch back the show and I really enjoy watching it. We have fun. Click like or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tell the world, share it. Tell people that we're doing this thing, because, you know, we've done this is 136 shows now, and it's starting to really move along.
We're starting to get the hang of it.
Yeah, we're starting to get the hang of it. We're trying to keep the time down a little bit, although it's not evident right this second, but we try. Also, join the Daytripper community on Google+. I think that's where you're going to find the real magic happens. That's where anytime we have an event that we want to talk about, we put it there first so people have a heads up on registering, like the Don Komarechka macro sessions. I put it out to the community before I sent the email out, and it was sold out within 24 hours. I did a second one. It was sold out in another 24 hours. Now we're on the third one. I haven't even publicly posted it yet, and we've only got 4 spots left. So very, very cool. The Don Komarechka session is doing really well. If you do want to register, September 1st is the next available opportunity for you to do that, and the last opportunity, because, you know, September, that's when the flowers in the backyard are starting to wilt, and by the time we're able to do it again, there won't be any flowers. So if you want to do it, September 1st, check it out, www.daytripperphoto.com. The product is there, but the actual page isn't. We're going to take care of that by tomorrow morning. So remember to do that. Also, I do want to thank our sponsor. Doing a show like this is a lot of fun, but it is time-consuming. So when you have a company like LensPen get behind us and give us prizes to give out and to give us really cool things that we can use in our day-to-day life, it's awesome. So thank you, LensPen, so much for taking an interest in what we're doing. And I just want to show people this funky little thing that we got from LensPen. This is the LensPen Peeps. One of the coolest little inventions. Navi, I stole this from your shelf, by the way.
I was going to say, I'm like, where did mine go?
Yeah, this one's yours. So
Yeah.
I'm going to give it back to you. I needed it for the show.
Oh.
So here's
I can't see. My glasses are...
clean your eyeballs. What this is supposed to do is you pull this apart, and you have little pads, and you can clean your glasses. Phil,
It works really well when you have it.
Yes.
I need that right now. My glasses are filthy.
Well, it's summer, guys. We all wear sunglasses, and of course they're going to get sweaty and greasy. So the Peeps are freaking awesome. Now, every time you put them back in the container here, it re-energizes them.
That's
and
cool.
And if they get too greasy or whatever, you can just put them in there a couple times, and that cleans it right up. And then, of course, you have a little brush on the backside, which is also very cool. So thank you again, LensPen. And as a reminder, the prize for the current photo challenge, which is black and white portrait. And by the way, these have to be new photos, right, guys? These photos for our photo challenges are always new photos, except for the next one, which we're going to talk about next week. But this is the prize, the LensPen Moneymaker Kit. There's 4 LensPens in here, including 2 little ones, 2 big ones, and the whole thing is the LensPen cloth. So very cool. For the winner of our photo challenge gets the LensPen Moneymaker Kit. Awesome. What else to do here? Oh, What's this? Tough Mudder. Tough Mudder.
Oh yeah, I forgot I put that in there.
Tell us.
What did I put?
You said, who wants to do Tough Mudder with you?
Yeah, so after Trish doing the Mudderella, I was looking for a challenge for me for next year, and I'm slowly talking her into joining me to do that too. And so I decided I'm going to sign up for Tough Mudder. So the next Tough Mudder is August 14th and 15th of this year. So I'm not going to be obviously ready for that. So I'm going to sign up for the one for next year. So I have about 13 months to train, which I'll need every second of. And it's a team race. So, if you can have as many people on your team as you want. So if anybody that's interested, if you're in the area, we'll be having sort of local workout sessions and stuff like that to get prepared for it. And if you're interested, I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Cool. And I guess people can get a hold of you. We'll talk about where to get a hold of you at the end of the show. But
yeah,
Gabriel,
get a hold of me through the show.
Yeah, just get through the show. Cool. And good luck to you, man. That's awesome. I might even. I don't want to commit to anything.
I watched a video today. The hardest part with Tough Mudder is getting to the starting line.
I believe that. But I'm not much of a Tough Mudder, so I don't know.
That is bullcrap. You just walk there.
So if anybody's interested, Bryan, Navy, Bryan, if anybody's interested, just let me know. We can
Phil's a tough little mudder.
That could be fun.
All right, we'll talk about that later. But that's very cool of you doing that.
It's a 12-mile obstacle course that you do in the mud that's designed by British Special Forces. So I mean, what could go wrong?
12 miles?
12 miles, but it's like interspersed. So you run a couple miles, and then you go down a slide that's filled with fire at the bottom, and then you run another couple miles.
You also thought a marathon was like 15 kilometers, or a half marathon was 15 kilometers.
Yes, I did. Yeah, well, I'm slowly learning. So.
Gabriel, Michelle has a question for you. She says, how do you plan to train for the live current section?
Just lick a lot of batteries. They have a few sessions where there's just these ropes hanging down, and I'm like, okay, what's the big deal? And you find out that every rope is a taser, and you have to run through the taser. So I'll just hold somebody's hand so they get the shock.
I'm out. I draw the line at being electrocuted. I'm sorry.
It looks awesome. Anyways, I don't want to take up too much time on this, but it looks awesome.
Well, good luck to you, buddy. Good luck. I'm sure we'll talk a lot more about it on future shows. And Mark Flinders, greetings from Newmarket to you in Innisfil. Excellent. Okay, cool. So let's start talking. Oh, before we do that, one more thing. Sorry, guys. One more squirrel here. My buddies, the Flatliners, the guys who are doing the Amazing Race Canada. Last week they came in 3rd place. They're doing really well.
That's right.
These are guys that literally travel the road together and have worked together for, I don't know, since 2005 or something. And here they are in the Amazing Race Canada, ripping it up, doing really well, working well as a team. So good on you guys, and that's what this is here. Asylum and Burns, those are the two guys on the team called the Flatliners, and they are pro wrestlers who are on the Amazing Race Canada. So let's all root them on if you're watching the Amazing Race Canada. Asylum and Burns, otherwise known as Nick and Matt.
What episode are they on?
I think they are up to episode number 5 right now, or something like that. 4 or 5. In fact, my photos may be on the September 2nd episode. So, very cool. Yeah, they actually bought some images from me. Well, if they're used, of course. We'll worry about that down the road. All right, so let's get into our discussion, guys. Let's talk about some of the costs of being a professional photographer. We all have expenses. Many times when we talk on this show, we hear comments from our viewers that say, I just can't afford that. Yet all I need is yet another bill. It happens all the time. We were talking about editing photos, and we said, well, just do the $10 a month thing and get the Photoshop package, photographer bundle. And people are like, well, I don't want to spend $10 a month. Well, you know what? Being a professional photographer is expensive, and it kind of sucks sometimes. So we're going to talk about some of those things that we have to pay on a daily basis, and like Phil was saying, even stuff what he has to do is similar to what we're doing with the monthly fees and dues and so on. So let's talk about identifying what we need to spend to keep ourselves going. Okay, so there's a lot of things that we need to do. First of all, monthly subscriptions. Gabriel, how many monthly subscriptions do you have that you have to pay for?
A lot.
I know, right? It's hard to even remember.
Mine, no, yeah, no, I mean, it's the kind of thing that you have to just sit there and look at your credit card statement. It's like, oh, yeah, that's right, I forgot to sign up for that. Oh, yeah, that's right, you know, or I forgot to cancel that, or, you know, so, yeah, there's a fair amount, probably 10 or 15 things at least. But also, yeah, and you know, I don't want to get ahead in the notes, but I did mention in there that everything is moving to SaaS, software as a service, nowadays. So, you know, whereas you used to go out and rent a movie, now you pay $8 a month for Netflix. Whereas you used to go out and buy albums, now I pay $8 a month for, you know, you can do like Apple Music or Spotify, or I personally do Google All Access Music, right? So I'm not drop in large chunks of money every now and then. I'm just paying $8. So everything, you know, used to go out and buy Photoshop, now you pay $10 a month for it. So things that you used to just drop big amounts of money on once or twice a year is now just sort of quietly whittling away at your bank account and removing your will to live. Emails.
Like I used to have, and this is one thing that's frustrating, you have to be very careful with where you spend your money, because there's some situations, for example, Bryan at Daytripperphoto.com, you can all reach me at that. I've had that for quite a while, and it always was rerouted into my MobileMe account, my main email. Recently, with the Photo Expo coming up, we had to expand. I had to get a few different emails, sales at Daytripperphoto.com, so on and so forth, and each one of those costs a certain amount per month. Well, when we set this up, all of a sudden now Bryan at Daytripperphoto.com is one of those, and I'm paying monthly for that, where I was getting it for free. So we have to be very careful sometimes when we're signing up for these services that we're not doing redundant services, right? We already have things coming in, so we just have to really pay a little attention to what we are actually putting out. Google Apps. Why is that so expensive? $50 per user per year.
What does that mean, Google Apps?
So Google for Business is basically, you can have a Gmail account, so daytripperphoto@gmail.com, but if you want your backend for your email to be like my Gabriel at PCTantrums.com or Gabriel at BousquetPhotography.ca, they're all run on the Google backend. Right, so that's like all the notes for the shows and everything that we do is all run in the Google backend, all the calendar system, all the everything like that. So you can go with the free service and have a Gmail account, or if you want to actually look like a professional and have your own domain, you can run it on the Google backend. Now, certain services like GoDaddy and other services will give you free email when you sign up for the web hosting, but I highly recommend against that. It's, first of all, it's a lock-in. So if you ever say, okay, you know, this is a terrible host, I'm not happy with you, my website goes down all the time, you try and leave, your email's locked in with them, and it makes it harder to leave. I like to go with somebody that's platform agnostic, and it's the most stable, the most secure, the most feature-rich, especially when it comes to security, email system out there. And yeah, it's $50 per user per year. The average company needs 1, maybe 2 email accounts, and the way that I have mine set up is that my email account is what's called a catch-all. So you could send an email to Fluffy Bunny Slippers at PCTantrums.com, and it'll come into my inbox. So you know, you can do an info if you want to put it, you know, on the website, or if you want to put courses at, you know, or weddings at, then your domain. They'll all come into the one inbox, but makes it look like you have lots of email accounts, and then you can create filters from within there.
That's pretty cool. Phil, do you have to get into stuff like that?
Depending, I have all mine hosted through at my kind of centralized office right now. However, I am working on setting up a kind of a secondary website for myself where I can combine together, you know, like a blog platform and have, you know, a little bit of a different setup than I currently have. And with that, then I'm getting into the same kind of email system. The question I have for the Google system is, if someone sends using Fluffy Bunny Slippers, if you respond, does it respond from the email they sent, or does it respond from your generic email?
You can set that up in your preferences.
Okay.
So, and what a lot of my customers do, because I mean, a lot of my customers, they have a Yahoo account from years ago, they have an AOL account, they have an @me, you know, and usually what I run into is, whoop, sorry, just a second, phone call. A lot of my customers with the old email addresses, the AOLs and stuff, they're constantly getting hacked and stuff. So what you can do is, if you do have some old email addresses and you don't want to lose them, you can have them all forwarded into your Gmail account, and then it will show up in your Gmail account as being forwarded, and you can filter through them that way. So, and then it does the spam filtering and stuff right from there, which Gmail has the best spam filtering on the market.
Okay, and that would add the layer of protection that Google offers that is very lacking, or at least I think lacking, in the Hotmail and the Yahoo side of things.
Yeah, I had a customer just today. Yeah, it was today. Her Yahoo account got hacked, and they got her address book and started sending out emails to all of her contacts. Whereas with Gmail, and I'm going to go through this really quickly because I know we want to get on to other things, but they have not only two-factor authentication, but you can set up two-factor authentication to the point where I could give you my Gmail username and password, and for free, this is the soundtrack of my life, there's there's an app that goes on your phone there, you can see it there, called Google Authenticator.
Okay.
And that creates a 6-digit passcode every 60 seconds.
Okay.
So when I go to log into a computer that isn't mine, I put in my username, I put in my password, then it asks me for that code. I put in that code, and then when I'm done, I just log out, and it wipes out all my data. So, I mean, it is unbelievably secure, and that comes on, I'm going to put this on Vibe, sorry, and that comes on even the free accounts, but it also comes with the, the Google for Business accounts.
Cool. Navi, do you have to do all that kind of stuff? Do you pay for internet and all, or for emails and all that?
Yes. I don't do it through Google. I actually, my domain is through GoDaddy, so too late. I've already been there for 7 years, so I ain't leaving.
Yeah, I got my domain through there as well.
Yeah, I don't do hosting through them though. But yeah, so I have my website, domain name plus hosting. Also have, actually, I just tried out Spotify. Not really photography related, but kind of handy, to get music and whatnot. But yeah, because it's funny, because I don't really think about. That's the bad thing, I think, about those monthly things. Because you don't think about it, it's just there, and if you cancel, or you forget to cancel, rather, you're paying this $15-20 for like 6 months. Like this guitar lesson I signed up for many months ago that I never did. I've been paying for it for like 4 months.
Wow.
I learned 0 songs, so.
Well, that's something we all have a problem with. Like, I know for myself, my memory is horrible. So if I were to sign up for something and then I didn't use it very often, if I didn't pay attention to my bank statements, I'd end up paying and paying and paying and paying. Like the Pixie set we did for the Zombie Walk.
Right.
It was only $11 a month. It wasn't a huge expense, but we went about 2 months without really needing it, and finally I realized that we were paying. I was like, "Hey, Gabe, let's turn that off. We don't need that anymore."
Have auto renew on these services off. Like, I'd rather be reminded of it, just so even just for tax purposes, I know exactly where my expenses are. And I have even stuff, a monthly or sort of a yearly membership for like my wedding album company, that kind of thing. So everything just kind of adds up after a while. That's like $100 a year. So if I forget and it's just auto renew, I don't, I just stop doing it for some reason. It's $100 a year.
That's actually a really good tip. Remember to turn the auto renew off when you get these things. 500px, Squarespace, all these different things that I already have. I've already got those turned off. So if I do have to, renew, if my thing comes up, I get a notification and I can pick and choose if I want to do it again. I think that's the smartest tip that we can give on those monthly services. What do you call them? The software as a service?
Yeah, so basically what it does is it cuts down on piracy, whereas before you used to be able to, download software from the internet and install it on your computer. Now they tie it to a subscription like Kelby Training. You know, like lynda.com used to be you just buy a single DVD, right? And then they realized that those DVDs were getting uploaded online and people were downloading them, and now they've all gone to subscription services.
Mm-hmm. Well, they got to do what they have to do to protect their own investments, right? So now we're all trapped in this monthly plan. But what about business services? I mean, we've talked so far about, you know, software and emails and things like that, but there's other things. Like for Daytripper, we have Square. We have PayPal fees, we have Stripe, and all of these things, they take a little bit off of every transaction. So not only am I having to pay Squarespace for my website, but now every time somebody actually registers for a session, there's a chunk of that comes off before I get that as well. So you're losing both ways sometimes.
Do you, Brian, charge anything extra if someone wants to pay through PayPal or credit card?
I haven't, and you know, starting Daytripper in 2008, the fees are the same today as they always were. Like the costs of the sessions have not gone up since 2008. If a session is a little bit more expensive, then I end up eating that. Or if these extra costs come out, then it is what it is. To me, it's a cost of doing business. And plus, Daytripper is a fairly new thing. I mean, they say businesses that survive past 5 years are doing well, and thankfully we have, which is awesome. But we're still a very new business, and it's a small kind of business too. So it's not the kind of thing where I can start being really high-me about everything. That's a bad word for me to say. Really controlling about every little transaction that I do. I have to let a lot of that go just to keep people happy, and you know, just keep people wanting to register for sessions. Don't make it too expensive and too difficult. If I were to start doing that, then you know, I'm already charging taxes now on the sessions, and that's a different thing too, right? So I don't know. I just don't want to make things harder for people to register than they already are. Also, cell phones. Like we all have cell phones. That costs a crap ton, right? I mean, it's ridiculous.
A couple $100 a month, yeah.
Seriously, it's what? Okay, so Phil, you were telling us earlier about this American cost being less than the Canadian cost.
Yeah, it seems that for the same level of service, everything in the States, as far as, let's say, cable and internet and cell phones, tend to be a little bit cheaper than they are here. And I'm not really sure why that is. It just seems to be kind of a, I guess,
an annoyance,
benefit maybe of being an American.
A benefit of being an American. Well, there has to be one. I mean,
well, I mean, part of it is that they can have more people paying. Like, I think Comcast has as many subscribers as the population of Canada.
Yeah. It's a lot like selling stereos and cameras. I mean, volume sells, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just America, though, that has really good cell phone plans. I feel like it's everywhere but us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no. We're one of the highest in the world for what we pay.
Although from what I've heard, our customer service here is slightly better than what you get in the States, because they have really the two big companies that really don't, I think, care too much about
Comcast,
customers.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's always a one's worse than the other, but they both seem to be terrible.
Yeah.
It's just terrible. I'm going to kind of cut in just for a quick second, just to remind everybody who's watching to use the Q&A. If you've got something to say about what we're saying, if you have a contrasting opinion on something, if you just want to say hi, go ahead, use the Q&A part of our conversation or a part of our hangout, and you can talk to us. We'll see it pop right up there on the right side of our screen, and we'll roll that right into our conversation. So if you don't know how to do the Q&A, I already mentioned it earlier, but a lot of people weren't watching at the time. Remember, just hover your mouse over the window, the chat window that we're in. Along the left side, you'll see an icon that says Q&A. Click on that, and right along the right side, you'll be able to type what you want to say. In fact, Andrew just said something here. For the softball league that he works with, they started accepting credit cards this year through Moneris Paid Pro, as well as online payments through PayPal. We actually worked out the average fee we were charged, and we do pass that cost on as an admin fee, which is great to be able to pass that cost on. I mean, it might be a little bit different for the softball league, Andrew, just because if I were a parent and I had to register my kid to softball, I would. You know, it would just, this is what I have to pay, just do it. Whereas with Daytripper, well, it goes back to that whole, is it a necessity or is it a luxury? And to be honest, Daytripper photo day trips are kind of a luxury, you know. Not everybody can afford it, and not everybody wants to. It's kind of a fun extra. So people, the harder I make it for people to register, the less we're going to get people registering. Andrew.
But also, it doesn't have to be a separate fee, though. You know, it could be something that you already calculate within your, fee for your sessions. And it doesn't have to be, if you're paying, I guess if you're trying to figure out your yearly credit card fees that you're paying for, if you spread it out through all your sessions, I don't think it would be that much to add on to your sessions, no?
No, that's valid. And on that point, for 2016, when our prices go up, you can all talk to Navi and let her know. No, you're absolutely right. I really, that is something I have to look at. But as of now, things are still cool. And by the way, the 2016 season schedule is mostly done. Mostly done. We've got some surprises in store, but it should be fun. Andrew mentions further, as a not-for-profit, we can't afford to lose a percentage of our registrations. So far, they've not had anybody complain about it, which is awesome. And you're right. As a not-for-profit, you've got to make sure you capitalize on every single nickel. Eh?
A lot of people like putting things through on their cards because then they get the points.
Yeah. Points come in handy.
Now, if you are shopping around for a point-of-sale system, kind of like a Square or like a PayPal, do your research on them first. There are several good ones out there. There also are several not great companies that'll try and stick you into a super long contract. So just do a little bit of research first to make sure you don't get stuck into something that's not beneficial for you, your clients, or your business.
Excellent.
I don't want to mention any companies, though.
No, probably. I don't think we need to. That's a good tip. Very good. Rachel, hello. Thank you for watching, as always. And Andrew says, you know what, Navi, it's true. It could be embedded. So, yes, I could embed that into the cost of every day trip. And that's something I have to look into. So we'll definitely look into that.
If I can jump in just for a sec, I'd like to hop back to the idea of monthly subscriptions just for a short second here. Mm-hmm. One of the issues that I seem to see a lot of is people that go onto some type of free trial. Doesn't matter what it is. You sign up for something and it's you get a month trial of Netflix or a month trial of I think Hulu is one of the other ones. A lot of people will sign up for a month trial, maybe not use the service, but forget they signed up for it, and it will usually take anywhere between 3 to 6 months, maybe longer, for people to actually realize that they signed up for something. So it's a really good idea to pay attention to your statements, whether it's your credit card statements, your bank statements, not just because it will help show you that you signed up for something and you're paying for it and you're not using it, but it will also help to make sure that no one else is using your account or your credit card. Because the sooner you can catch issues, if they happen, the better off you are.
Absolutely, for sure.
My biggest trick for that is whenever I sign up, Rogers is famous for it. It's like, oh, we'll give you this for 3 months for free, and then you can decide whether you like it. And then they just keep billing you for it afterwards. And so whenever I'm on the phone with them, pick up my phone, say, okay, Google, remind me on September 18th to cancel that Rogers service. And then it sets a reminder, and so it asks me if I want to set it for a time. I say yes, and then on that time, it pops up and reminds me to cancel the Rogers thing. So if you have a digital calendar or any type of calendar like that, it's fantastic for canceling services like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic idea.
I was lucky when I did my Rogers. They were giving Show Me, so I got the Show Me thing, and I got it free for 2 years.
There you go.
2 years, and I'm using it, so it's cool. Don Komarechka is watching. He types in here, he says, photography is expensive, even more so when you're in the business of photography. Between subscriptions and a budget for new gear and experimentation, I'd say about 30% in my photographic income is rolled right back into the business in some way. 30%? I don't know. That's even a little bit low. What do you think, Navi? You think you put at least 30% of your income back into it for that?
I wouldn't say more than that. I don't think that's.
Well, what about training? Like, I know we all love to learn more stuff. Part of what we do is geared around constant learning and expansion of our skills and so on. Whether it's what we do or what Phil does, you constantly have to be learning more about your trade and your skills. So, what kind of fees would you be paying for this learning, Phil? What do you have to subscribe to keep your training up?
Well, I have a lot to subscribe to. For every license, every designation I hold, I have a set number of yearly, what are called continuing education credits that I need to fulfill. Now, I'm going to admit that those numbers are terribly small as far as the hours I need to spend towards mandatory education. However, the amount of education I do go through, there's several different options. I have some that I have to pay to take courses, whether it be, let's say, a course online based on tax preparation, tax planning, just so I can get a better understanding of it. That could be somewhere between $100 to $300. Now, most of these fees are going to be one-time fees. However, in a year, I probably spend anywhere in the realm of probably $1,000 to maybe $2,500 on extra courses just to keep myself going, as well as I have optional courses so far that I haven't actually done, which would cost in the realm of $4,000 or $5,000, mainly because they take place outside of Canada. You fly down somewhere, you're in a specialized area with a bunch of either economic professionals or portfolio managers, and it's usually a week dedicated to a set topic or a set skill to learn. But I'd say in a year I spend probably $1,000 to $2,500, if not a little bit more, just on continuing education. And I imagine that's got to be similar on your side of things.
Well, not quite as high, I would say. I mean, that's a very specialized skill that you have to learn. Like I remember when you first started getting into this, you spent a lot of time going to school. You've tried a lot of different things to get to where you are today, and it's not cheap. And that's what you're talking about. Isn't even the actual schooling that you did.
No, it's just extra, things to give me new abilities, new skills, so that I can learn to do things that would help. Let's not to plug myself, but help my clients in a way that I might not have been able to do before.
What we have to do, right? It's the same for us. Navi, what do you think you spent on monthly training or yearly even?
I would say more so like yearly. It depends. Like certain years I might spend more because I'm doing more workshops, like versus online training, right? So one workshop could be $400 or $500 for like a 3-day session or something like that, versus doing like Linden.com or something, which is like a monthly thing, or a Kelby training. So it just depends. I guess on average, I'd say probably about $500 or so.
Yeah, that sounds about right for me too. Gabriel?
Yeah, probably around there.
Yeah.
If there's a new technique or a new, something that comes out that I want to learn more about. But we alternate. I alternate your back and forth between Linda and Kelby, and usually when there's something new, it's covered in one of those.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's something that you want to do in order to be better and to know how to do more things and have more skills to offer potential clients and that kind of stuff, as opposed to just being stuck with knowledge of 10-year-old technology kind of thing. It doesn't really help anybody. And
Absolutely.
If you can't keep up with the changes and the pace, you're going to fall behind, like Pentax in digital world.
Don't listen to her, Andrew.
I said Kodak, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Kodak, there you go.
Don, glasses now. I said they're making glasses now.
Who?
Kodak.
Yes, actually, I heard a radio or commercial thing for Kodak. It was weird.
Well, you guys know Kodak isn't actually Kodak, right?
No, it's got to be.
Kodak has been bought out probably a dozen times in the past couple of years, and they are now basically just a numbered business out of China. So they actually cycle their license every 5 years, I think it is. They somebody else gets to use the name Kodak, and they have to bid for it and all that, and then they can come out with any product they want to come out with the name Kodak. That's how Kodak is running these days.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Okay, so Don pipes back up. He says it used to be 50%. See?
And
50%.
I would say that anytime you're starting a business, probably within the first couple of years, you're most likely to be looking at spending a lot of your actual income supporting the business.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times people throw numbers around that a business isn't profitable for the first 5 years, or at least you're not paying yourself a livable wage for the first 5 years. I don't know if it's actually 5. I think 5 might be when we start looking into startups, things like that. When it comes to individual photographers, I'd say it's really probably going to be down to how much you're willing at hold on, that wasn't making sense. How much time you're willing to put into it. If you're going to sit there and hope clients come to you, it's going to take you a while. But if you're getting out, you're finding people, you're working, and you're getting out and shooting a lot, then it's going to take you a little bit of a shorter period of time to turn the business into something that's actually profitable for you. In which case, once you get through the initial, purchasing of software, signing up for monthly fees, buying cameras, buying lenses, buying memory cards, buying lens pens, everything that you first purchase, you usually don't have to replace, so your costs will decrease to a flatter level over time.
That's a good point. Absolutely.
I mean, when was the last time you bought a camera, Bryan?
The 7100.
Yeah,
that was not this past April, but the April before.
Okay.
That kind of stuff, yeah. That's a good point that Phil made. When I first started, or even first started working at Henry's, oh my God, the amount of money I spent was great. I actually didn't make any money working at Henry's. Just went.
No, just back to the company.
At this point, there's nothing really that I really need this, other than I want it. But I'm definitely not spending a ton of money on gear anymore.
Except for your hipster camera, but
it's not a hipster camera, man. It was a good deal. Whatever.
And there's going to be the odd thing you have to purchase. You're going to pick up a new filter here and there. You're going to pick up a new cleaning cloth, new lens spray, maybe another memory card or two. But the big expenses, you're probably going to be pretty safe from for a couple of years.
We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about what kind of expenses photographers have on gear. But first, I want to say congratulations to Andre. He finally got it working as a Q&A box. So well done. Good for you. And hopefully, if you have some questions, you'll be able to go ahead and ask them to us. This Q&A, this Hangout. Phil, this is your first time in a Hangout.
It is.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
I have to say I really like it. It's very useful, and I'd hope that some of the companies that I do a little bit of work with, when they do webinars, this would be a fantastic kind of solution for them.
Yeah.
Most of the time they run their own proprietary program, which is not nearly as nice.
Well, here's the thing. Not only is it not nearly as nice, but it costs thousands of dollars, like Gabriel's saying. This Google platform is free, and that's my fear, is we rely on this Google platform so much that what if they do decide to make it a paid service for us to do this? That would suck.
It would.
The solution is easy. You just go like this, and you go like this, and you go, okay, how much do you need?
Exactly, right?
Throw your money at the screen.
It does happen.
Fine,
Andre,
Google, take it.
Andre says, thanks, Bryan, for allowing me to join the Google Plus Daytripper Photo Group. I found you on YouTube last week and just got my first DSLR last week also. He's located in Barrie, and he hopes to be able to attend some outings sometime soon. Well, you know what, Andre? In Barrie, that's where we're doing the Don Komarechka macro sessions. So if you're into macro photography, maybe that would be the first one you want to look into, September 1st. Don's watching the show right now, so, he's a good guy. Lots of cool stuff to learn. Check him out, Don Komarechka. It's doncom.ca. All right, so let's talk about that equipment stuff that we have to buy all the time. There are major purchases. There was a point where I would buy up to $3,000 a year for the past 6 years or so, and that's how I build up my whole collection of gear. The purchase program I was using at the time is no longer around, which kind of blows. But at least I had the gear I needed, so I don't need to make those big investments again. What is next on your list of things to get there, Navi?
Insurance.
Oh, okay. Good. Insurance. Talk about that.
Insurance for your gear, or liability insurance is what I'm more concerned about, I think, because I'm terrified of somebody injuring themselves on a shoot and suing my ass. So I like to have my ass covered for that.
Good thing. That's a good thing. Now, I've dealt with insurance for Daytripper, and there aren't too many insurance companies who would actually insure a service like what Daytripper does.
What do you mean?
Well, going on the road and taking people somewhere to take photos, and I've tried to talk to so many people about it, and they're just like, well, you have to talk to this insurance company, or you have to talk to this insurance company. There aren't too many that are even involving themselves in that. So who would you go to for business insurance like that?
The company that I am with, what is their name? Like, they have a specific photography package. So I guess they deal with enough with, photographers and media, or people who work in media. They have sort of these specific media packages. I can't remember. Oh, BC&G Group, maybe? Does that sound familiar to anybody?
Sorry, which?
I think the company is called BC&G Group. And they have like a couple packages, and I did some research to find out what other people were doing, and there were a lot of recommendations for this company. So I've been with them for the last couple of years, and it has coverage for liability, equipment, pretty much everything you need, I guess, for running a photography business.
Cool.
But I mean, it's one of those things you hope you never have to use.
Mm-hmm. God forbid, right?
Yeah.
And then there's even the things like insurance is great to have, but for Daytripper Photo, one of the really important things that I need to have is first aid training, right? If we are on a trip in Algonquin and somebody, God forbid, breaks their leg, I can splint you. I can get you okay. I can help you with shock. I can, I know the proper processes to make sure that you're treated properly and you get the service you need or the care you need. Denis Turcotte makes a really good point. He says, it is necessary to set up a budget for advertisement, equipment, but most of all, get advice from a great accountant, I think he's saying, so you get it right from the hop. As you get more work or sell more of your work, you can revise your business plan, but planning is so important. Absolutely true. You really do need to plan ahead. Think about what you're doing and what potential issues you could come across, and try and plan for that. Trish Castling types cbggroup.com, business insurance.
There you go.
So there you are. Thank you, Trish. That's awesome. And Andre asks, where do you post the link for the show? Byron Sheldrick was nice enough to post the link for him. First of all, Byron, thank you for doing that. But we do post the link. I send out a personal invite to everybody in the photography circle and everybody in the Daytripper Photo circle. I also post it to the Daytripper Photo community, and at times, usually starting a few days before the event, I'll post it publicly as well. So it's always posted in the Daytripper community, at least, which it should have been for this one.
Neil, if I can jump in just before the next one. An accountant was mentioned, and an accountant is a fantastic place to start. An accountant has the knowledge and the skills behind him or her to help kind of point you in the direction of what to be looking for as far as taxes go, what to be looking for as far as what write-offs you have, what rights you have as a, let's say, a sole proprietor. As if you own your own business and you're, let's say, a one-person show, you'll most likely be a sole proprietor. So what you can do, the amount that you can actually write off against the HST. Because as a sole proprietor, you'll usually be collecting HST from your clients as you do business with them, and then remit it at the end of the year back to the government. So if you talk to an accountant, what they can do is tell you, if you're purchasing this much equipment, you can use this much as a write-off against the HST you might have, as well as most people who are sole proprietors or in a small business probably don't have benefits. They'll also be able to point you in the direction of, if you have to buy eyeglasses or contacts so that you can use your camera comfortably, how much of that can you write off against your taxes? Mm-hmm. They're a fantastic resource to start. I'd find a trusted accountant, and I'd work with them, as you're building your business and as you grow, because they'll be the ones that are going to be there to, answer the questions for you, especially when it comes down to, bookkeeping, basics of accounting. Even if you're not doing work with them now, if you plan on working with them, they'll usually be pretty forthcoming with information.
Mm-hmm. And again, though, you do have to get the right person, so don't just jump on the first person you talk to. Look around, shop these people. I had a meeting with one accountant a few years ago, and I was all excited because he was, sounded like a pretty normal guy, and he worked out of his house. He said he had lots of time. So I went to his place for our meeting, and of course he's wearing sweatpants, and he's got stains all over his shirt, and he sits me down at his table, which is cluttered with all kinds of crap, and he starts telling me about all these things he can do and all these, annual bills that I'm going to have to pay with him and this and that. I'm just looking at him thinking, dude, you can't even keep yourself clean. Like, there's got to be something else here. So I moved on.
Now, there's nothing wrong with working out of your house, but at the same time, you got to be presentable.
You know how to present yourself, yeah.
Yeah.
And without going into too many details, if you do hire somebody to take care of some of your books, make sure that they're paying your invoices in the proper currency, because if they're not, if they're paying in Canadian and it's supposed to be paid in American, it can sneak up on you.
If you're just starting out,
we'll dig into that.
You might only need an accountant to take care of your taxes and to answer some questions for you. You might be able to do the basic bookkeeping to start. Just keep a record of it, and then at tax time you can usually go in, bring the book of your ins and outs for the year, and talk to them at that point. So there's several options, from having someone take care of everything for you, all the way up to just having them there to walk you through the tax planning stages.
And of course, a lot of that has to do with how much you're actually doing business. I mean, if you're really heavy business and you're doing millions of dollars a year, then have people take care of that all the time.
Yeah, because it's not worth it.
No, not
you
at
don't
all.
have enough time in the day.
Don just piped up. He says, big purchases are scary. He just bought a Canon IPF 8400. It's a 44-inch printer. He was telling us about this when he was on our show. 44-inch wide, and he can print long, long runs, so you can do huge panoramics. He spent $7,000 on that printer. He says, though, it'll pay for itself in a year or less, especially with big art shows like Kempenfest coming up this weekend. By the way, Don will be at Kempenfest this weekend, so if you're in Barrie and you go to Kempenfest, look for a big printer. Don will be attached to it. And then just say hi to Don, because he's a super cool guy. And
I usually go to that, but we're going to be camping. That sucks.
Oh, man. It does suck. I want to go to that, actually. I might even...
It's great. It's a good time. We've been a few times, and we loved it.
Very cool.
For people that don't know what Kempenfest is,
yeah.
What is it?
You don't know what Kempenfest is?
No. Should I?
Oh, okay. No,
I think I should.
You're not really Barrie. You're at the offshore.
So it's up in the Barrie area.
Yeah, Barrie has the bay is Kempenfelt Bay. So
they
have this big summer festival thing called Kempenfest, and there's bands and there's street activities and vendors and like hot stuff.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Rich F says he imagines word of mouth is a common form of advertising. Have you guys used Google AdWords or Facebook ads? Have you found Google AdWords or Facebook ads effective, or maybe some other web type of advertising? I personally haven't at all. I've done Facebook advertising. I've done Google AdWords once. I never really had any kind of reaction. Gabriel knows a lot more about it than I do, though.
Yeah, a lot of my customers use Google AdWords, and they find pretty good results with that. I get pretty good results with Google just because I have good Google juice. So when people Google for photographers or computers, mine comes up pretty high. I've never had any success with Facebook ads, and I don't know of any of my customers that have had good success with them either.
No. It gets you more views and you get a couple likes, but it doesn't really generate business.
I think there are more bots on Facebook than there are on other services.
I will agree with that. I did a Facebook advertisement kind of campaign, and I found the people that I got viewing or liking my page, I should say, were people that liked absolutely everything else on the internet. So I agree that it most likely was some type of bot. I will also,
like another country. Like, great.
Yeah, it was.
Target market.
Yeah, exactly. And you're on Facebook, you're supposed to enter your target market, but I don't think they do too much with it. Now, I will say that I've done a little bit of marketing as far as newspapers go. Had wishy-washy success with that, as well as I've done direct mail campaigns, and that's basically where you design something and pay someone to mail it out to a bunch of different houses, and not had a huge success with that. But with any advertising campaign, people usually need to see you 2 to 4 times in order to them to kind of trust you. So they'll probably see your ad, be like, okay, that's interesting. See it again, be like, I kind of feel like I know that person, and then they'll see it again, and it brings back the memory of seeing you. They think you've been around for a while, and in which case they might actually pick up the phone and call you. The issue with the market that I'm going to say technically we're both in is we're a needs-based market. So you need to be connected to someone who needs your services or feels they need your services before anyone's going to call you. So with a direct mail campaign or with let's say internet advertisement or with Google or newspapers, it's about having the right person see or read your ad, and it can be kind of rather challenging for it. Now, I'm going to agree with the corner there, saying building a brand is definitely important. You need to have consistency across everything. Your website needs to look like your ads, need to look like what you do, your letterhead, everything needs to be you. And more so in your field, I'd say, than in mine, a little bit in mine as well, you're really selling yourself. You could be the best photographer in the world, but show up wearing dirty sweatpants, and no one wants to deal with you. And you could be mediocre, but be super professional, be kind and courteous, and that's going to get more people happy, more people talking about you.
Absolutely, good point. And yeah, thanks, Denis, for that comment. You really do have to be consistent, and that's something that I was blessed. Early on, Gabriel came up with the Daytripper paper logo, and I love the look. I think it was fantastic, and we've used that for everything. So, yeah, definitely be consistent with that. Now, what about unforeseen costs? What about things like one of my customers, and she's a fairly well-known photographer in the Newmarket area, don't need to say names, but she was on her way to a wedding, and she got into a really bad car accident. She got hit head-on. All of her camera gear was destroyed. She has physical injuries, of course, the mental trauma from it. It was a pretty scary ordeal, and this is just, you're driving to a wedding. All of a sudden you get nailed by another car. These are things you don't think about, and the costs involved are huge, not just financial costs with buying all of her new gear. I mean, the poor thing had to come in and buy all new camera equipment and everything, right? But now she has pins in her arms, and now she has, it's awful, just that whole stress of it. So what can we do to try and protect ourselves? I mean, we can't really protect ourselves against a random accident, but it's just one of the things that you don't think about that may come to fruition if you're relying on going to job. Gabriel, man, you are on the road all the time. He's not in the hangout right now, but he's on the road all the time. And
I'm on the road, that's why.
Yeah, he's on the road. He's driving to his next job right now. But this is it. I mean, sometimes we'll do a hangout, and Gabe will just show up while he's still driving in his car. And
sorry about that.
Oh, there he is. Sorry, buddy. I know you're busy. I wasn't trying to pull you right back in, but I mean, you're on the road all the time. I don't know if you heard me mention about the lady in our community who.
I caught all that. Yeah.
Is that something that you roll into your daily costs? Like, what if there's repairs on the car? What if you get into an accident?
We always have a float. We have one always. We usually try and have a float of a few $1,000s, and just for life in general. If we miss a mortgage payment, if if somebody gets hurt, so we can survive for 2 months. And then wherever that float needs to go, it goes. Insurance, can cover a lot of that. When I'm driving to a wedding, I always make sure that I have enough cash on me to pay for a taxi. So if the car breaks down, you just leave it on the side of the road with a note saying, car broke down, had to shoot a wedding, talk to you later, order a taxi, throw your gear in there, and keep on going. And there's not much you can do. I mean, technically, I'm sure she could probably get sued by the wedding that she was supposed to shoot for not showing up, whether, it was an accident or not and stuff. So there's, that's where insurance comes in.
Mm-hmm. Of course, that's the first thing she thought when they tried to take her out of the car was, I've got to go shoot a wedding. Who's going to shoot the wedding? She's trying to call somebody else to go shoot the wedding for her,
Yeah.
This is the first thing we think about. Forget about my arm. I've got a job to go to. This is other people relying on me. Michelle, yes, the show is still live. Just thought I'd answer your question there in the Q&A.
Now, there's a lot of things that you can do, and I will agree that you should have some type of float. Now, the magic number is usually 3 months of your salaried income, tucked away for those emergencies. Now, if you're self-employed, that number really should be higher, but if you're self-employed, you probably don't have that much cash to stick somewhere. But you generally want a couple months so that if something happens, you do have the ability to still live. Now, there is insurance out there. Insurance can cover you if you get sued, but there's also other insurance out there. You can get, disability insurance. Because you're self-employed, you probably don't have benefits. Now, if you have a significant other who's working, you'll probably be able to get covered at least partly under their benefits. But if you're self-employed, you probably don't have benefits. So if something happens to you, you get disabled, you're unable to work, you're unable to make a living. And there's protections you can put in place for that. You can get disability insurance on yourself, so that if something does happen, you get, not to kind of go to a bad place, but let's say you do get into a head-on collision and you're unable to work for several months. Short-term disability that you get from the government's only going to cover you for a little bit. After that, you're going to need to either go back to work, or you're going to need to sit there and really not make any money. So there's options for you out there that allow you to continue your recovery path and still let you actually live. Now, there's several levels of disability insurance. There's going to be stuff that covers you in your occupation, depending if you can get classified as that. There's other types that are basically going to say that, well, you're disabled and you can't take pictures, but you can sit in a chair and type, so you need to go back to work. And they're going to force you to go back to work for a different occupation. As well as you can get insurance to cover your business. You can get insurance so that if you're unable to pay the bills, let alone yourself, but if you're unable to pay the bills, you're unable to pay your Creative Cloud subscriptions, and you have a year's subscription for that. You have a lease on your car so that you can drive to these places, and you're unable to pay for it. You can have insurance that actually covers you for just your business costs. So there's options out there that can keep you safe and help keep your and your family's kind of way of life in place. However, with that, there are extra costs.
Yeah. So
you would have to look at it and say, are those extra costs worth it?
Right.
Most of the time they are. Insurance is the one thing that you buy with the hope of never using, especially life insurance, because you never benefit from life insurance.
Andre says the disability insurance would or could cover your time off, and there can be permanent coverage for lost income if it's bad enough of an injury. So there you go. And
depending on the classification of your disability insurance.
Okay,
some
good to know.
Aren't that nice. It's a really good thing to talk to whoever your insurance advisor is, and make sure that your disability insurance is really going to be there to protect you.
Is that something that you do?
I do. I deal with disability insurance and life insurance. I don't deal with like the liability side, so I don't deal with like photographer insurance. That would be a separate entity of insurance altogether. But as far as life, business coverage, that kind of thing, critical illness, that's all stuff that I can deal with. And I'm a little bit of a fan of it, with just seeing what can happen as far as not being properly protected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have it on my photography company as of yet. It is something that, if I start to get busier, we'll definitely look into. But I have lots of insurance on my computer company, because if I'm dealing with large companies and I lose data or something goes down and they decide for some reason it's my fault, then I'm covered for several $1 million.
That's important.
And it's going to be up to you to figure out what your liability should be. You can look at it and try and figure out what a person might sue you. And liability insurance can cover you for more than just damaging some property. It can cover you if the bride's outside in the winter and you say, let's go take a picture over there, and she slips on some ice and hurts herself and wants to sue you. Liability insurance can help you in situations like that. Hopefully it never happens.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Denise says, having run businesses for over 40 years, we've had to deal with parents, deaths, and many other things. We've always carried at least 3 months' money to cover bills. This was suggested by his accountant as well. So there it goes to your point there, Phil. A couple months.
It's definitely worth it. And if you can do more than just 3 months, especially if you're a sole proprietor, it's a great idea. That way, if you're shooting and your season ends in September, you got a couple months to kind of keep you going while you figure something else out.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you guys do as far as legal?
What do you mean?
Well, do you have a lawyer? Do you have a lawyer that you would go to if something happens with one of these things? Is that what you do, or do you just go to the insurance?
Generally, the insurance company would be the one that would deal with paying out a disability claim. I believe you'd have to go to... I've never had to deal with a liability claim personally, and as that's outside of the scope of my practice, I'm not sure the proper course of action for that, but I imagine it would be one of the things you'd have to contact the insurance company first. But on the idea of lawyers, I would recommend having a lawyer to work with. I have a lawyer I deal with for my business needs as well as for my personal needs, and they can help kind of keep everything in control. They can also help answer legal questions you have, as well as set up wills, power of attorney. If something does happen to you, you can make sure that, I know we're going off topic here, end it quickly. You can make sure that your needs and your demands, I'm going to say, are met, especially if, let's say, the absolute negative happens to you. You can at least have your last wishes met properly.
Well, Rich, I'm glad you're enjoying the discussion. I am too. It's good having Phil here. You've got this great insight that we just don't have as what we do. It's awesome. And also, Rich asks, what do you find the most stressful being a professional photographer? Clients, money, etc. I'm not a professional photographer. I don't consider myself that. I'm an educator. I work at Henry's full-time, and I run Daytripper Photo. So my biggest stressor is, will the weather be good? You know, will enough people book a session? Things like that. I don't have the demands that a Gabriel or Navy would have. So I'm going to push that over to you guys. Gabe, what do you think about what is the most stressful part of being a professional photographer? Difficult clients, money, etc.
My head is the most stressful part, because I'm always, you know, no matter what it is, I'm always psyching myself out ahead of time. So my brain is always the thing that causes me the most stress. And it's because, a lot of photography is so, especially event photography, right? Event photography is a different venue. You've usually never been there before. Light is so important, and it's up to you to get the light, with no excuses. So a lot of it is like, oh my God, what's it going to be like? What's it going to be like? And then you walk in and you're like, okay, this isn't so bad, right? So unlike the one christening that I showed up to that had 25-foot slanted ceilings that were painted black.
Oh.
And I'm like, I can't do anything with it. So we were using flash benders, and everything worked out fine, right? But having the tools and knowing how to use them. But really, in all honesty, that's the thing that causes me the most stress, is my own rambling around in my head.
Interesting. Navi, how about you?
I don't know if I can say one thing, because they all kind of play a part in the whole sort of scheme of things, right? You have clients, you need clients to make money, and you need tools to get the clients and to give them the product that they want and provide the service that they're looking for to make money. So I don't know. I can't really say that. I've been lucky enough that I haven't really had a lot of difficult clients. I've probably had maybe one or two.
That's just because you're so awesome.
Well. No, seriously though. Like I can't say that's my biggest stress, but I think if I had to pick one, it would probably be always, you're always hustling, right? As a business owner, you're always on. You always are working. You never have the weekends off. I mean, you should, and I hate the whole smartphone thing, because emails and stuff are always coming and you're always checking it, but the fact that you always have to go there and hustle and get more business, or provide the service that you want, that your customers deserve, is a lot of work.
Question for you guys. It's just, you made me think of this. For your cell phone plan, a lot of people out there with cell phone plans can go up and they can go to Walmart and buy a pay-as-you-go phone, or whatever. I have a 6 gig plan, and I almost max out every month. What do you guys have?
Upgraded to 10.
Oh my God!
Really?
Wow.
Is that a family
and I'm
plan
running
for you?
out this month.
Wow. Do you do a lot of tethering? Like, what do you find uses the most?
Yeah, I do a lot of tethering. I do a lot of streaming of music. Like, I listen to music while I edit, and stuff. And yeah, I mean, I live and die by my phone. I do all my bookings, all my accounting, everything is done by my phone. I can access web access from my computer, but I just find the apps and everything so much easier to do. So both my companies are run 100% from my phone.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Navi, what do you have? What kind of plan are you talking?
I just actually renegotiated my plan with Rogers. So I have 6 gigs. I probably only use 3, maybe 4, but it was from an older plan, so I didn't want to, the plans available now are pretty crappy for what you're paying.
Yeah.
I think what I'm paying now is what you would pay for like 2 gigs on your plans.
Well, that's good. That's good. And we always have to look out for these deals. So that's one thing I'd probably suggest is, when it's time for you to either renew your cell phone plan or buy a new phone, don't just jump on the first thing you see. Call up your existing company and possibly say, hey, I've got this better deal going over here. What can you guys do for me? You got to finagle a little bit. You got to negotiate sometimes. And I think that's part of doing good business as well, is knowing how far you can push to get the best possible deals and prices you can get. Yeah. With the Photo Expo, by the way, we have coming up in September, we never made our goal for our sponsorship, and it's unfortunate. So we're going to change things up a little bit, and this is part of the business. I guess this is the most stressful thing for me right now, is dealing with things like this Photo Expo, where I had all these big plans. We're going to get Dave Black, have all these great instructors, have all these rooms and all these courses, and of course the money that we needed to get a Dave Black never came through. So we're really going to refocus on the amazing talent that we have already and maximize all of that. So it's an unfortunate thing that we have to do, but this is all part of rolling with the flow, right? It's a tough economy these days, and people just aren't forking out dough for sponsorship like I would like. Frustrating. Okay, Phil, what about you? What kind of data plan you got on your phone?
Actually, before I get to that, I just want to say thank you for coming out this evening. Someone's going to bed.
Oh, I didn't see that. All right, well, good night. Who was that?
Okay, Rachel.
Oh, Rachel. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Rachel, good night. I didn't even see that post come up.
Okay. I don't have that big of a data plan. My data plan is only 2. I tether myself to Wi-Fi, everywhere I can go. I think the local coffee culture, probably I automatically connect to that now. Spend a lot of time in there. But I have, I would say the very least would be probably an unlimited talking plan, and maybe an unlimited texting plan. Like I have unlimited both, unlimited Canada-wide. I find that I'm on my phone all the time. I'm talking to people, talking to companies. I imagine it's going to be similar for you guys. Constantly calling clients, constantly calling prospects. Following up on, you sent me an email, I'm calling you about the wedding in which you sent me the email about, that kind of thing. So I would say at least tons of minutes, or it shouldn't be that much more to go to unlimited talk and unlimited text. Great place to go. If you're worried about data, which is really where it looks like the cell phone plans tend to go up in cost, maybe minimize that. Try and spend time in Wi-Fi areas, but at least unlimited data and unlimited talk and text, probably the best place to go. And kind of on your idea, pit companies against each other.
Yeah.
Go to Rogers, go to Bell, go to TELUS, and you'll see what they'll do. And just on the idea of it, Bell owns a couple different companies, TELUS owns a couple different companies, Rogers owns a couple different companies. So if you're going and competing, let's say Rogers against Wind, same company, they're probably not going to do that much for it.
Yeah, be smart about it.
So look at the big 3 and then look at the sub 3 and figure out which ones are going to give you the best deal.
Good point. Very good point. Control or curb or control your spending. Who added that to the notes? Was that you, Gabriel, or Phil?
Oh, I added the whole paragraph thing.
Okay, I think we've talked about a lot of that. Recommend making a budget. Start with normal monthly expenses.
Just to figure out what your costs are going to be as far as you to actually live, and then once you know how much you need to live, add on the proposed business expenses, and make sure you're comfortable with it. Make sure you're comfortable with being able to afford what your actual monthly expenses are going to be. And creating a budget doesn't have to be terribly difficult. There is software out there. You can do it in Google, not Google. I guess Google Docs. You could do it in Excel if you wanted to, but come up with a budget first, and most important, be truthful on your budget. I find a lot of people when they put a budget together, they're like, I don't go to Starbucks that often. You totally do. So it's good to be a little bit more honest on your budget, and if you have to be a little bit more liberal on your spending on the budget, maybe I spend $50 on this, well, I'm going to call it 60. That way you'll be budgeting for kind of worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Good point. I know for myself, I sell cameras. I do as much as I possibly can. And I have a lot of people who'll come in to spend money on a camera, and I almost talk them out of it sometimes. You have to qualify properly, and you have to make sure you're spending money for the right reasons. How many people come in, Navi, and want to buy a new camera, and they come in with a perfectly good working camera, but somebody told them that they need this camera, so they're just going to buy it. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, I couldn't live that way, so why do you really need a new camera? Why don't we just show you how to use what you have, spend the money on education instead of a whole new kit, and you can get a lot more out of it. But since we're getting a little bit late on the show, I mean, we're 20 minutes at least beyond what we should be right now. We're going to kind of wrap things up a little bit, and we're going to say goodnight. But thank you all so much for watching the show. We're just going to get into our closing, and I know, Gabriel, you've got to take off, right?
Yeah, I got to head out.
Okay, well, thank you so much for making it in. I know that you rushed home from your dinner with your lovely wife to be here, so thank you so much.
James been at his grandparents for the last, well, this will be the 4th night. So we've been having a little bit of, just kind of actually hanging out, going to the gym together, going out for dinners in adult restaurants and stuff. It's been nice.
Cool. Well, good for you for that. And again, thank you so much for being here tonight. You can take off if you need to, but before you do, folks are going to want to know where they can get a hold of you. I mean, with all the amazing stuff you do with PC Tantrums and your photography, where can folks get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me for the photography, Gabriel at bousquetphotography.ca, and it's BOUSQUET. I guess I usually don't plug the computers, but I might as well. It's Gabriel at PC Tantrums, kind of like Temper Tantrums, .com.
Very cool. All right, well, thanks, buddy.
Right.
And
thanks for having me
we'll
on.
see you soon.
All right, talk to you guys soon. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, so that's pretty much it for the show for us tonight, guys. If anybody else has anything else to say, go ahead and say it now in the Q&A. And, of course, Phil, I saw Rachel's post come up just like a second ago. So
Okay, I don't know why I saw it first.
No, it's a weird delay how that happens. It's the same way that it screwed up our game show that we tried to do. You just never see when people are replying properly at the right time. Okay, so I just want to remind everybody that the photo challenge for black and white portrait is still ongoing. We're going to do that photo review next week. So black and white portrait, there's been a few really, really good black and white portraits submitted to the photo challenge so far. Thank you, everybody who's done that. And if you haven't, there's still a full week for you to post those photos, and we're going to review them on the next week's show. And the theme for the next week's show, I can't wait. The photo challenge is going to be awesome. We kind of hinted at it last time, but we're going to talk about it more next time. Mark, Tammy, both, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. I love when we can have a topic where people really get something out of it. You know, it can actually help your day-to-day. So hopefully this was one of those shows. Navi, where can folks get a hold of you? Again, wedding photography and all the awesome stuff that you do.
You can find me at navynyum.com, NavyNhum.com.
Yeah. Is your lower third not working? Because mine isn't.
I didn't even put it on.
I try and put it on, and nothing comes up anymore. So
I didn't even attempt.
It's kind of weird. So yeah, NavyNhum.com, Navy like Navy. And Phil, where can folks get a hold of you, buddy?
Well, you can always get in touch with me through email at pzorato@canfin.com. So PZORATTO @CANFIN.com. Or if you want, you can always shoot me a text or give me a call with any questions you have at 416-949-5364.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
It's on YouTube, so I might regret the phone number thing.
No. Nobody watches the show anyway. It's all good. Oh, except for Rich, of course. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. Good night to you, sir. And before we say good night, I just want to leave you with a quote like we usually try and do. The quote is from Eve Arnold, and she says, "It is the photographer, not the camera, that is the instrument or the tool." So basically what she's saying is that, you know, all photographers are tools, which it could be true, but that's okay. So it is the photographer, not the camera, that is the tool. So don't forget that. When it comes to making photos, how many times do we hear it where my camera takes better photos than your camera, or you got to buy this camera to make better photos? And no. What?
Or you take a picture and they're like, "Oh man, you have a great camera."
I know, right?
Thanks for that one.
I know. You know, first of all, thank you. I'm glad you like my camera. But the best feature on any camera is the 12 inches behind it. Don't forget that. So
I like that.
Keep on taking your courses, whether you're going to a School of Imaging class or now known as the Learning Lab with Henry's, where you're taking a course out the Oshawa way from Phil or Newmarket from Martin, or you're coming with me on day trips or with Navi on her classes and, you know, with Martin. And there's so many different ways for you to learn photography, guys. Take advantage of them. Bottom line is you're doing the right thing first by joining the Newmarket or the Daytripper Photo Camera Club. the Daytripper Photo community on Google+. It was Newmarket Camera Club last night. I couldn't make it. I fell off my bike the other day, and I couldn't even imagine just sitting there. My back right now is starting to get sore anyway. So, yeah, by the way, when you're 44 years old, you shouldn't be jumping curbs on your bike. Just saying. And I'm talking bicycle, not a motorbike. I'm not that cool. It's just my bicycle.
I wish somebody was wearing a GoPro. Shoot.
Great.
Well, the best was the guy that was parked in the car beside me as I fell over, ass over teacup. He looks at me, he's like, "Are you okay?" "I'm okay."
Oh, dear.
Anyway, all right, thank you guys so much for being on the show this week. I really, really appreciate it. And Phil, Mon, it was great having you on the show. You got to come back another time.
I would love to. And if I can add in, if anyone has any questions or they want a budget made for them, they want to talk about budgets, which I know can be kind of dry, so we'll add humor to it somehow. But if you guys want a budget or a financial plan put together for you because you're part of the Daytripper community, and I'll extend this to Gabriel as well, though he's not here. If you guys want that put together, just get in touch with me, and because you're part of the Daytripper community, I will do it at no charge for you.
Wow.
Nice.
So
That's incredible.
A little bit of time to get done, but we'll do it for you.
That is awesome. Thank you, sir. That's really nice of you and very
More
gracious.
money for you to put towards buying stuff from Bryan and experimenting with your camera gear.
Even better.
There you go.
Hang on a second. Gabriel just texted me. He says, if you're still doing the show and you haven't mentioned it yet, and don't forget to mention accounting software like FreshBooks. He pays about $250 a year for that. So that's kind of, do you kind of do anything with FreshBooks, Phil?
I don't. To be honest, I don't do my own accounting. I have an accountant in Vaughan, who he's been my accountant for the last probably 5 or 6 years now. And he takes care of everything for me. If I've got questions, I just get in touch with him. As far as something like FreshBooks, though, and there's a few other options out there. I think there's actually a couple free options. Their names are escaping me off the top of my head. But they're great for the kind of daily business expenses. So if you're trying to figure it out, you're trying to make a kind of cash flow for your business, keep everything in order, fantastic software. It's a great place to get a little bit of help from.
Cool. Otherwise, call you.
Yeah, and it's always a good thing to come up with some type of business plan, and there's free business plan software out there that can help you design wording to go with your goals and your aspirations, so you can actually put it on paper. You have something so that if you go to see an accountant, you can sit down with them and say, "This is my plan," and they can help you with it.
One of the most important things when you're starting a business is to actually write everything down in a business plan. Extremely important. You're right.
And don't get discouraged. If you're starting a business and it's starting slow, it happens to everyone. Just keep with it, and you'll do good.
It's funny with Daytripper. By the time January, February comes around, I just want to kill people. I'm done. I'm out. I'm so tired of having to wait for the weather and do all these things. It's such a tedious thing sometimes that I get really down, and I go through phases, and everybody does. So chin up. Keep yourself positive and keep getting the inspiration from your friends and other people in the community. And Michelle, yes, I know, always tuck and roll. I will always tuck and roll when I'm falling off my bicycle.
And keep shooting.
And keep shooting while you're falling off your bicycle.
Worst thing you can do is stop taking pictures. So just keep taking pictures, and if you don't like what you're shooting, shoot something else.
Absolutely. Like maybe hook up with Martin and go do one of these plane shoots.
Or just buy a new camera. That's fine.
Yeah, see Navi or me at Henry's in Newmarket. We'll hook you up.
Even if you have questions, you can go in and see either of them, or Martin, and just pick their brains, ask them questions, and they're fantastic resources. If you're out this way, you can head into the Oshawa store. They have a good team. I'm going to say good because they're not nearly as nice as the Oshawa team, the Newmarket team as far as answering questions, but you can come in. People here will do their best to answer questions for you. If you see me in the store, because I don't work in the store, but I'm there an awful lot. See me in the store, flag me down, ask me questions, and I can do anything I can to help you out.
Well, Phil, you know probably 90% more than most people when it comes to photography, so you're a great resource for sure. Martin can't stop saying awesome things about you, by the way. He's so happy teaching with you.
And I like teaching with him. It's quite a fun thing to do.
Cool. All right, that's it. We're done. Going to say goodnight to everybody. And again, thank you so much for being here, Navi and Phil. Always good hanging out with you guys.
Thank you for having me. And it was fantastic. And thank you for everyone for tuning in.
All right, cool. So that's it. We're going to say goodnight. Have a great week, everybody. Don't forget Black and White Portrait. And like, subscribe, share to our Daytripper Facebook or YouTube thing that we do. Go to the community on Google+, and otherwise just say hi. Take care, everybody. Have a good week. Take care.
Good night.
Good night.